I went to Machu Picchu, and here's everything you absolutely need to know before you go. The first thing you need to decide before booking your trip to Machu Picchu is what time of year should you actually go. The best time of year to go to Machu Picchu is during the dry season. So your window of time for that is going to be from May to October. Now there is a little bit of wiggle room, and I could also make the argument that going just before the dry season or just after the dry season has a lot of great potential because you have less crowds and you are more likely to find a good deal that time of year. So if your objective is to try and find the best budget-friendly deal, maybe consider March or April, or later in the year, November or December. Visiting Machu Picchu itself is going to be spectacular, regardless of if it's the dry season or the rainy season. But you will have a different viewing experience depending on when you go. If it's during the rainy season, you are much more likely to get a whole lot of cloud coverage, and it has a cool, moody feel to it, but it's not going to be the clear panoramic views that you see on the postcards of Machu Picchu. If you go during the dry season, you'll have plenty of sunshine and spectacular views. Once you determine the time of year you want to go, you then have to figure out the logistics of how to get there. If you are an international traveler coming to Peru, you most likely will have to fly through the capital city of Lima first. Once you're in Lima, you then take a flight over to Cusco. That flight itself is actually really cool because you're flying over the Andes Mountains, which is one of the most majestic mountain ranges in the entire world. Once you get to Cusco, there's several different ways you can actually reach Machu Picchu. The three main ways to get from Cusco to Machu Picchu are going to be by train alone, by train and bus, or by hiking there. So whenever you're taking the train from Cusco to Machu Picchu, there is a route that goes directly there, no stops in between, and you can just go straight there. That's going to be the most expensive, but also the most comfortable and luxurious route. And so I would definitely recommend that option if you're trying to keep it simple and not have a whole lot of logistical things. A secondary option would be you can do a train bus combo. To get from Cusco all the way to Machu Picchu, there's not a road that goes the whole way, but there is a road that goes part of the way. So what you can do is you can either hire a bus or a taxi or even rent a car in Cusco and take it to Ollantaytambo. You can even stay in Ollantaytambo for a night or two, and then you can take a train from Ollantaytambo all the way to Cusco. The third option is you can do a hiking trek from Cusco all the way to Machu Picchu. There's two main treks. You have the Inca trek and the Salkantay trek. The Inca trek is the more classic trek, if you will, to get from Cusco to Machu Picchu. The Salkantay trek is a little bit different. You go over a little bit higher peaks. Both have their pros, both have their cons, but either way, you're taking an absolutely epic trek through the Andes to get to Machu Picchu. So now that you've determined how to get from Cusco to Machu Picchu, you actually arrive at a town at the base of Machu Picchu called Aguas Calientes. After exploring Aguas Calientes just a little bit, you now have the decision to make on how do I get up to Machu Picchu. There's two main options. You can either hike up the mountain or you can take a bus. The easiest and most comfortable way to get from the town of Aguas Calientes up to Machu Picchu is by taking the bus. When you go to Machu Picchu, you have a timed entry, and I'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute. But that's very important to remember when you are taking the bus up, because you have to make sure you get in line early enough to catch the bus and get up to the top so you can enter at the appropriate time. The other possibility is to hike up from Aguas Calientes to Machu Picchu. This is the more affordable option because it does not cost you anything, but it's also a lot more of a physical toll. I actually decided to take this option up because I enjoy hiking, I enjoy moving. After taking the long train, because I did not do the trek to get there, I decided I at least want to do the trek from the village all the way up to Machu Picchu. If you do decide to take the hike up, just be aware it's about 2 miles, but you gain over 2,000 feet on the hike. The other thing to factor in, you are at altitude already at the base of Aguas Calientes. So you definitely will be a little bit winded and tired if you decide to do the hike up. Something interesting about Peru is they have stray dogs everywhere. So just be aware, if you decide to do the hike up, you might end up finding 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 different dogs who decide to follow you. The next thing you need to decide before you go to Machu Picchu is which circuit do you want to do. There's only 3 different circuits technically, but within each circuit, there's 3 or 4 different routes. So in total, you have about 10 different options at Machu Picchu. The most popular and classic route at Machu Picchu is doing circuit 2A. That's the circuit that I decided to do, and it was a blast. I would absolutely recommend doing that specific circuit. Now, if you have the time, you definitely could stay multiple days and do multiple different circuits, but just know that they do not let you walk backwards or cross over into other circuits. So once you pass a certain point, you cannot go backwards. So that is very important to note. Another really important thing is tickets at Machu Picchu sell out super early and far in advance, especially if you're going in the dry season. In theory, it is possible to get tickets in the actual town of Aguas Calientes the day before because they do hold over some extras, but you probably will have to wait in a really long line and there's no guarantee you can actually get a ticket into Machu Picchu. I would recommend that if you're trying to go in the dry season, you probably need to book your ticket 2 to 3 months in advance. When you actually go to buy the ticket for Machu Picchu, you have a couple different options. Number one, you can buy it directly from the Peru government website. Now, if you don't read Spanish like me, you will be subject to having to use translators and there could be some miscommunication. So there is a little bit of confusion as it relates to that. It is the least expensive way of buying the ticket, but you can pay a little bit more money and buy a ticket through a certified ticket dealer. Make sure though that you're buying from a reputable company who is a certified dealer, because there are some knockoffs out there who are just trying to scam you out of your money. One of the benefits of going through one of these dealers though, is in my situation, I needed to update my passport because it was expired, but I also really needed to buy my ticket because we were getting close to the period of time where they might sell out. And so what I did is I purchased my ticket through one of these dealers with my expired passport. And then once my renewed passport came in, I was able to make a modification on my passport number on the ticket, and they were able to do that for me. If you buy directly from the Peru government website though, you do not have the option of updating your ticket. That was my personal experience through the company that I used, but I would make sure to check with the specific company you're using to make sure that they will allow you to update your ticket. So I hope all that information I just gave you was very helpful. It was just my personal experience of what I learned on my trip to Peru. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try and get back to you. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. Leave a comment below and I'll see you in the next video.